Year 5, welcome back to Story Time. So we are up to chapter 59. At the end of the last chapter, Addy realised that Obi had forgotten about Pigeon the cat, and he went back into the tower, which is, by the way, on the verge of being eaten by the Blutchers. So let's see if Obi manages to come back to the helicopter. Chapter 59. You know how I said that I'd never known time to slow down and stop as much as the moment the Blutcher exploded over me? Well, I take that back now. Waiting for Obi to come back is the longest wait of my life. I don't know if it takes 5 minutes or an hour, but to me it feels like it will never end. I remember learning at school how there are 365 days in the year and 24 hours in a day and 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute. It feels like every real second that passes is an hour, that every minute is a day. I can't take my eyes off the open doorway. I can't stop willing Obi to appear through it. But however hard I think it, he doesn't come. No one speaks now. It's just the beating of the helicopter blades and the beating of our hearts. Then something happens which makes me feel sick from the bottom of my stomach to the top of my head to the toes on my feet. The roof is moving. A low, ghastly groan comes from the tower itself. It is going to fall. Just as the top of the roof begins to slant, I see Obi appear in the doorway. A little grey bundle is clasped to his chest. Pigeon. The helicopter's pilot tries to keep us in line with the falling roof, but the gap between us and the tower is much larger now. Obi runs towards us. He runs so fast, he sort of throws Pigeon towards us and he lightly jumps across the roof and into the helicopter. And then Obi jumps too. As he leaps from the tower, the building gives way beneath him. It's completely collapsing now. The helicopter swerves away as the tower crashes downwards and Obi's left flying through the air, flying in the space between the falling tower and us. I see his face as he jumps. He isn't scared or panicked like you would imagine him to be. He looks so peaceful somehow. And happy, perhaps. Happy. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's what I think. He would have fallen downwards for sure. He would have plummeted down just like those bodies of the pigeons did when Dory and I threw them off the balcony. Or perhaps Obi would have floated softly down like feathers, gently and softly, making little circles as he went. But he doesn't fall. The helicopter moves downwards in such a way that Obi falls onto one of the long poles that are right at the bottom of the helicopter. The bits that look like they are the helicopter's feet. He falls right onto one of them and manages to just hold onto it. Ben and Mum reach out to grab him and pull him up into the cabin, right onto our laps. And as the helicopter rises up into the sky, with the tower crashing down behind us, we all clasp Obi to us. We hold each other tight. Part 3. After. Chapter 60. There's a spot at the top of the road where you can just make out the blue line of the sea over the roofs of the buildings. You can't see it if it's foggy or raining hard, but most days Gaia and I stop to look at it for a moment or two. It's there today. I mean, it's always there, but we can see it today. It sparkles in the sunshine. Gaia and I walk side by side the rest of the way home. Gaia talks about what happened at school today, but I don't talk much. I like just listening to her voice sometimes. We go the quick way home, which is past a few shops and down a couple of busy streets. There are so many people on the pavement that at times we have to walk in single file, but we always go back to walking side by side again when there's space, and Gaia doesn't stop talking. When we first moved here, we could never walk this way because people recognised me and would try to stop us and want to talk to us. Sometimes there were nice people who wanted to just shake my hand, but sometimes I didn't like the way they spoke to me, and that's when Gaia found a long route to school where you didn't run into so many people. We sort of became a bit famous after we'd been rescued, you see. Lots of people wanted to interview us, but Obi said he'd rather have stayed in the tower than be on television or in newspapers, and then none of us wanted to do it after that. In the end, Obi was quite right about someone else working out how the salt stopped the Blutchers from growing. They discovered that not long after everyone had left the city, and so, after everything, for all the worry and about contamination, the Blutchers never made it out of London. We were the only city to be destroyed. No one else who stayed, like we did, survived. Pigeon's doing okay, although we have a little dog now called Ollie, who he's not too keen on. Mum takes Ollie for a walk every morning and night, so that's good. We don't talk about the time Mum didn't go out much, but I just have a feeling it's not going to happen anymore. We see Ben quite often. He likes to walk with Mum and Ollie most evenings. I told him that maybe he should just get a dog too, but he said he likes Ollie well enough, so he'll just walk with them for now. I see Gaia the most though. After we left London, there was only one place I wanted to go, where Gaia was, and we all ended up staying there. We eat together a lot, Obi, Dory, Ben, Mum and I, just like in the old days when we were trapped in the tower. We still eat a lot of pigeon, but now we can have it roasted or in pies, and it's just as good as Dory said it was. We're having dinner tonight, all of us, and Gaia's coming along too. She comes around for a meal most weeks, and sometimes when we're all together, sitting round Dory's table with Gaia too, I almost forget that she wasn't with us all those times from before. She likes everyone and they like her. She even caught her first pigeon the other week. She didn't want to eat it though. She let it go before Dory could get the bag out. She told Dory it was an accident, but I saw her lift it up to the sky and let it fly away. We aren't in the same class anymore, but it doesn't matter. We just make sure we walk home together and we see each other at weekends. We're just down the road from each other again, but not in towers anymore. We're just walking towards Gaia's house now. It has marigolds in pots on the windowsill, and because of their cheerful yellowness, I think it looks like the happiest house on the street. We say goodbye at her gate and I watch Gaia walk towards her door. She always turns round to give me one last smile, and then I watch the door close behind her. I only go when I know she's safely inside. My house is just a little way down the road. I counted the steps once and got to 68, which I thought was quite a big number, because to me it seems like our houses are right next to each other. Pigeon's waiting for me on the wall, and he screeches when he sees me and jumps up onto my shoulder, just like in the old days, in the tower. The tower feels far away from where we are now. Sometimes I get the feeling that I miss it, but then I think I don't ever want to go back, and I'm not sure what the word for that feeling is. I've come to like living by the sea. I like how its saltiness reminds me of what protected us from all of those days, and I like seeing its blueness all around us. Only sometimes do I get the jolt of memory of being surrounded by a silvery blue that almost engulfed us. I have to remind myself that it's just a memory, that it's just the sea that I'm seeing. The end.